Good morning. You are listening WCEG Network on WCEG.radio.com. You can watch us on Smart TV, YouTube, and WCEG.radio.com. My name is Ramona Hernandez, and for the next hour, I'm gonna be with you. We are a worldwide community empowerment group. We speak into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us in Instagram and Twitter and Instagram at WCG Tal Radio and WCEG Network on YouTube. The topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not WCEG Network. Thank you so much for being here with us and for your support. And this morning, we have a very interesting topic that is currently happening now. Our guest, I'm gonna let her to introduce herself. And also, Berenice, can you tell us what are you working on right now together with your team? Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Ramona. Again, my name is Berenice Rodriguez. I currently am the Civic Engagement and Organizing Director at Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta. We are a nonprofit organization located in Gwinnett County. We are nonpartisan. We have various departments in our organization. We have the litigation department, the policy department, the legal department, and our department, which is the Civic Engagement and Organizing. As the director of the Civic Engagement and Organizing department, I do a lot of civic engagement work in the community and in the whole state in general in regards to anything that has to do with elections, all the elections and voter protection, research on voter suppression, voting elections, and voter engagement, voter education in regards to specifically right now, the municipal elections coming up this November. We're really focusing right now on registering new voters to vote or updating any voter registrations in case people have moved or if their spousal status has changed or anything in regards to voter registration. We're really ramping up our efforts there. We're mainly working in 6 cities across 3 counties. We're working in DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, and Clayton County. We're also doing mobile voter registration drives. At the moment, our team of canvassers and some of our staff are in Augusta and Athens for the weekend. We've also been to Savannah twice already, and we're planning on going to Macon and Warner Robins in the next 2 weeks as we prepare to meet our voter registration deadline of October 4th, which is the last day for individuals to register to vote or update their voter registration status in order to be able to vote in the upcoming municipal elections.
Yeah, thank you for the information. That is very helpful for people. And can you tell me a little bit, I know you are, the organization is not nonpartisan, but people would like to know more about the candidates they want. Some people are very into, to exert the right to vote. Do you have any resources or how they can find out and research more about the candidates?
Yeah, for sure. Most of the candidates are posted on the city's websites. We're also working on candidate guides in which we will be publishing the candidate guides for the 3 counties that we're working on. That is all Clayton County, all of Gwinnett County, and all of DeKalb County. The reason why it takes us a little bit longer to get those published after the candidates have announced is because we do offer all of the voter guides in language. We provide translations for all the voter guides in Spanish, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, Urdu, Hindi, and Arabic. So we do have all of those voter guides that will be available, and that will be shared amongst our networks and also our website.
That's great, and thanks for the work, because we know the diversity on the communities are big and increasing more every day. So I know that takes so much time. And can you telling us, a little bit about, for example, if a person want to register and they don't find, people like you group, like people like you on maybe on the streets, on the stores, or on the schools, where they can go to register, and also where people can go to check if they already registered or not.
So there is, it's always encouraged for anyone who has been registered to vote in the past, or is just questioning on whether they have registered or have updated all of their information in regards to their registration, to go to the georgiamvp.sos page to check if they have been registered to vote adequately. We, as an organization, do canvassing efforts in which we are out in the field or in the community talking to people 6 days of the week for about 8 hours of the day. So we're really out in places where most community members will be around in their day-to-day lives, like grocery stores, events, farmers markets, anything that is publicly exposed in our community. We try to go and talk to people in regards to their voter registration and share information about just voting protocols, new changes in the law, and in regards to absentee ballots. And we're also talking to people about the candidates that are running in their specific city where they reside in.
That's great. Talking about the absent ballot, can you talk a little bit about us, about that? And I know there was a rule that it is against a little bit, against absent ballot or changes on the process. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so there's various parts to the most recent Senate bill, SB 202. The biggest changes are in regards to the absentee ballots. There's been various specifics in regards to when you can apply to receive the absentee ballot. Where does the absentee ballot get delivered to, and in what way it gets delivered to where you need to drop it off. So it's different based on the county. Those are one of the biggest changes. And then the other big change in regards to SB 202 is the fact that organizations doing nonpartisan work cannot supply water or snacks to voters in line. So in the past, we've been accustomed to providing small necessities for voters standing in line that may be facing long voting lines. We've been giving them waters or snacks in regards to just making it more feasible for them to wait in those 3-4 hour long lines. So unfortunately, we will not be able to do that anymore unless things change in the law, which is just really frustrating, because we know that the lines can get really long, and we really would want to be able to provide those things for voters to be able to stay in line, right? But we're not going to be able to do that. So we just have to be really careful in regards to how we handle it moving forward, since we cannot really interact with people waiting in line.
And so you are, for these changes, the organization like you not gonna be able to be on the place, offering people snacks or water. But what about it applies to, for example, I know that you also help people with the language, gave them a little guide, be very cautious, not enter on the field that where you telling them more than just guide them or helping with the language. That applies to the same?
No, so we will still be able to provide like poll monitors and being able to provide in language interpretation if need be. So that won't be affected as of right now.
Okay, that's great.
And that,
Mhm.
yeah, that's like honestly one of our biggest wins in the state of Georgia. Language access is really an issue that the state of Georgia does not focus on. It wasn't until last year that there was in language voting materials on site in the state of Georgia, and it wasn't in the entire state. It was only one county. It was DeKalb County. So for the first time, the actual voting locations were providing in language forms and resources. And again, that wasn't in the entire state of Georgia. It was just in one county of the many counties that we have. And that's really hard for people to hear, because in any other states, in language access and in language forms are readily available in many languages all throughout other states. So for Georgia to just have done that as of last year it's huge, but it's still a long way to go in order to get or gain language access for all potential voters.
Mhm. And so right now, the access to languages is only in CAP.
No,
Nine.
DeKalb.
Oh, okay. But we still keep fighting to get access language to the other cities, right?
Yeah, we're still trying to fight for more in language accessibility throughout more cities, more counties. I mean, Gwinnett County is one of the most diverse county in the entire nation. We have tons of people from all different backgrounds, and the idea that we as a county do not provide in language materials for potential voters is really hard to process.
Yeah. And talking about the elections and candidates, well, the next question is, in general, what is the importance people need to get involved? What areas of the life affect voting?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't take municipal elections very serious. Our voter turnout for municipal elections are actually really low. I think people have a hard time seeing why smaller government entities have such a huge impact on their lives, but it has the biggest impact in their lives because they're the local government entity that really mandates and governs where you actually reside in your everyday, day-to-day life. They decide on budgeting for the schools that your children may attend or that you may attend. They decide on parks and public recreational things. on whether or not things get built and whether or not what kind of businesses come into your city, what kind of basically what kind of community you're going to live in. And that is the dominant job of the candidates running in municipal elections. You're talking about your local mayor, the one that really is going to decide or has a huge impact on, local traffic laws, like how good or bad is your traffic going to be? And I know like that's a big thing for me because who likes to be in traffic, right? No one. So I think I encourage people to get really involved in knowing who's their candidate for their actual city and their actual community, because they're the ones that really are going to dictate your everyday day-to-day life. I also feel like those candidates are more accessible because they can be members of your own community. So it's easy to be able to attend local council meetings and talk to them about your concerns, talk to them about what you're feeling about. Don't just rant about it in your own house or your social media. You should really go out and educate yourself on who the candidates are. What are they talking about? Are they talking about something that interests you, that concerns you, that you are going to be impacted by? So definitely encourage people to go out and get registered to vote and actually go vote this upcoming municipal elections, because it's actually really exciting to see people that are part of your actual community that may be making those decisions for you. So I'm always trying to encourage individuals to get really involved. Another thing that our organization is planning on doing as the voter registration deadline comes up, so more so like in November, we will be hosting in-candidate forums where we will be inviting candidates from both political parties, because we are nonpartisan, to give them a platform to speak to community members who may not attend community meetings or candidate forums elsewhere because of the language barrier. So we want to provide those candidate forums, and probably through an online platform for COVID safety. But we will also try to provide it in language where we will provide the interpretations, so community members who may not share the same language as the candidates can ask those questions and compose those concerns in a language that they feel comfortable in. So we're very excited to launch those forums, and in hopes that many candidates get involved, because I think it's important for also the candidates to interact with the communities and not be shy about the potential language barrier.
That's great. And talking about the pandemic and all these hard times, I know it for everyone, wherever, job you have, but I know in the past, canvassers and, leaders from the communities went out freely in the streets. But right now, can you tell us a little bit how you are working and how it has been, the difficulties, the struggles to work?
Yeah, definitely. Me as a director, I am very conscious about the safety of my canvassers working out in the field, my staff members working out in the field, because it is a safety issue, and it is very concerning. I think I am proud to say that as an organization, we found creative ways to interact with our community in a safety manner. One of our biggest hits, I would say, has been that our QR codes on hand sanitizers. So we've created QR codes where individuals can, take a picture of the QR code with their phone, similar to what you would do at a restaurant. And they will be like on hand sanitizers, and to update your voter registration status, or to view the status of your voter registration, or to register to vote. And on those hand sanitizers, we will pass them out, right? Especially when hand sanitizers were really low. We had a lot of them. Maybe they were low because we bought all of them. I'm not sure. But we use that creative mechanism by providing the community a resource they needed, not only to be civically involved, but also because people needed hand sanitizers. So that was a big hit for us. We've also, we have about 50 plus sandwich boards. Now they're like freestanding boards. They're where it's a huge poster that says, and they're in language. They're in various Asian languages and Spanish, where again, it's a huge QR code, and individuals are allowed to scan the code and register to vote or update their voter registration status, and also the dates. The important deadlines are like when the last day to vote is, and also when the voting period begins and ends. So all of those important dates and the QR code are on those sandwich boards, and those sandwich boards are all over the place. To be honest, they're on university campuses. They are outside of restaurants. They're outside of MARTA train stations, in language again. So they're all over. So if you see one, that would be really cool. Please use it to scan the QR code and to check out where the status of your voter registration is if you're eligible to vote, of course. So we did that. And obviously wearing K995 mask and face shields is a must when my canvassers are out in the field. Also wearing gloves when interacting and sharing documents or resources with community members. We are not doing door-to-door canvassing at the moment. Again, for safety purposes, we understand that people are scared and people don't want to open the door to any stranger coming to knock on their door. So that's very understandable, and we don't want to put the community at risk, and vice versa to our canvassers. So we shied away from doing door-to-door canvassing for this upcoming municipal elections, but we are at tabling events and farmers markets and grocery stores all over Gwinnett County, Clinton County, and DeKalb County. So still interacting with the community, but socially distanced, in a socially distanced manner. So those are some of the basic protocols we've taken or ways we've gotten sort of creative with the new nuance of living in the world with COVID.
That is very important. And I think people thank for that, for the understanding, on doing it. Let's talk a little bit about the perception as an organizer, but also, as I know you have a train in checking with the canvassers and other leaders on your department. What is the perception of you, and what have you heard from your team about, the perception of people getting registered, the interest on people? Because as you know, our communities and other small communities, people are, skeptic to vote, or, they really don't know and count on those persons. We may have a lot ignorance on the process, a lot untrustful for candidates, for people. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Berenice, please?
Are you talking about like what people are saying, like community members, about like the voting process, or about the upcoming elections?
Well, both of them, because, everything come together, on the at the last.
Yeah, I think most people are happy to get registered to vote. I feel people get excited about feeling that they're part of something, something bigger. I think it's very exciting when people turn 18 or they're 17 and a half and now are eligible to vote. I think that's a very exciting part. A lot of the communities that we work with may have limited English proficiency. Therefore, it's always nice to see a familiar face or someone that speaks your language to give you and provide you this information. We see a lot of different generations of immigrant families being able to register to vote. Maybe they went through the naturalization process and they're now new citizens. So it's very exciting for people to have gone through that process and being eligible to vote. So I would say in general, people are excited about it. I don't think people really thank us for our work out in the field. I haven't heard any negative interactions with community members in regards to the work we're doing. Again, we don't really specialize on talking about our personal opinions about the candidates. So we don't talk about that again because we're nonpartisan. We're here just to provide basic information to individuals who may not be able to look it up on their own or may just not be exposed to that information in their everyday lives. So we're here just more for like a resource guide and just providing resources and being able to answer those questions that maybe they can't find it anywhere else in their language. So we're more like a resource hub, I would say. And people do like that and people do thank us for that.
That's great. And can you tell it, well, in your personal, or have you heard from your team? Because I know there is people with other mentalities very different. Have you encountered or your team encountered with people like that?
I think, well, the way I strategically plan the places that we work in and canvas deeply in are communities that I know have high populations of individuals who have limited English proficiency. We do that. I do that on purpose. So again, I've always seen them being just very thankful for the work that we do. I believe that there's people out there who may not like the work that we do, and that's very that's okay. That's fine. I think it's not a hindering factor for us. We will continue to do the work that we do because we know it's important, and we know that we're impacting other people's lives in a positive way. Again, are they people that are in disagreement with the work that we do? Are there people accusing us of doing partisan work or being involved or affiliated with certain parties? Probably, but that's not, again, a hindering factor for us. As an organization, we we did start our C4. Again, we're a C3, but we did start the Asian American Advocacy Fund. That is a C4 related organization in which they do work with specific parties and candidates throughout election process and election times. But again, that is a C4 effort where we do not share information or we wouldn't collaborate in any event together. But it is a fact that that organization or that C4 branch did come out of our organization. And I mean, that's accurate, but again, we cannot do any partisan work because we're a C3.
Mhm. Yeah. And earlier you was telling us about the Department for Litigation and voting protection. Um, can you telling us a little bit about it and how, how this work with people who feel that they are, they are not allowed to vote, or can you telling us more about it?
Yeah, so we do launch an operation called voter protection, and that's usually done a couple weeks before the election period, and we're definitely working all throughout the election, early voting and during the election day, where we have volunteers go in and be present within the distance that we're allotted, um, and we talk to voters that are going into specific voting locations, polling location, and we try to address and keep tabs on any voter issues that they might have faced. All of that information is gathered in order for us, or mostly the litigation department, to be able to assess if there's anything that, or any issue within a regulation or a law that they need to further investigate with the information they gather throughout doing poll monitoring during election day and early voting. Um, so there's been times where the litigation department has sued the Secretary of State for various things. And we've had various wins as well, where we were able to address very specific issues that have happened at the polls. And right now, we're still in litigation with certain things. The specifics of every lawsuit and the pending lawsuit, it's I wouldn't be able to speak too much on because I'm not in the litigation department. But all of those wins and any current or updated stands on lawsuits are very public. They're available on our website, um, and if people are interested in that, I think it's worth taking a look and seeing the last lawsuits that we have filed, for again, for voter protection purposes.
Mhm. And that is very important, to take care for the details where people is, um, officials or officers on the polls are trying to suppress the voting for someone. And
Yeah.
then thank to all the team, because I know they work so hard, and your team in your department too, keeping for those details at the polls, or listen the people what happened to them. So, Berenice, in your experience working out in the community, because you literally work, your team work out in the community, looking and listen, what has been your experience, in general, doing all this job?
Are you talking more about civic engagement work, like voting stuff, or just regular interactions with the community?
I think in general, because I know in different times of the year you are working different projects. But what is meant to work, for you and your team working, and what has been your experiences working for the people, what you perceive for the community, for all the work you're doing in different times?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think, well, we have a team of community organizers as well. We're actually bringing on a couple more new community organizers. We are trying to organize the community organizers to very specific issue topics or very specific communities in which their main role is to go out in the community and talk and observe and figure out what the community needs, right? I think our approach is not the approach of we feel as the community needs X, Y, and Z, so we're going to bring it to you. We don't get to decide that. I think it's about being a community organizer is really about listening and observing within the community. You can't just go in and think that you know what they need, right? I think it's about the community talking to you. So right now, a lot of our efforts are focused on civic engagement work with the upcoming elections, but I think in our off season, and I say that in quotations because we're never really off, from like voting and civic engagement work, we do try to be out in the community and make those very basic and needed observations to see if there's any other issue areas that people want to talk about. I mean, right now, in alignment with our civic engagement work, we're also focusing on the critical race theory potential ban that is happening in the state. Right now, critical race theory is a hot topic happening in the United States in general. And it's something that it's very important to us and the communities that we work with, because the idea of having anything racially inclined not being talked about in a classroom where our children or our siblings are in this day and time is a scary thought. I think you can't talk about certain parts of history without focusing or looking at it through a racial lens. Can't do it even if you tried. And I think that's something that we're very concerned about, and we really want to attend. I mean, we are attending like the Board of Education meetings, Board of Election meetings, where we're voicing our opinions in regards to our concerns about the potential ban of the critical race theory being taught in public schools in the state. So we would hate for us to follow various other states who have successfully banned critical race theory from being taught in classrooms of the public education of children. So we are working with different organizations, with different groups of parents, students, teachers, in regards to how we're going to organize and really voice our opinions in regards to the potential ban of critical race theory. So we're doing some work around that. We are also trying to advocate for an inclusion of Asian American history being taught as part of the general public education curriculum. I think there's definitely a big gap in how American history is taught in the state of Georgia in regards to public schools. And I think we're trying to find ways to fill that gap in regards to educating our children in a more eclectic manner, in a more diverse manner that could potentially lead to our kids who may be of color to feel safe, to feel accepted, to feel listened to also have an opportunity to listen and to learn about people that look like them, that identify with them, a little bit more relatable. I think if you remove that, and then if you also ban anything related to critical race theory being taught in classrooms, and again, critical race theory is not like a subject matter. Like you don't go to your 6th grade class and learn critical race theory. It's more so about a concept. It's about how history is being taught. Is it being taught as facts? Are you including race into that? And it's more so, is it important? Of course it's important. We can't look at history without thinking about, not American history, without thinking about how race played a role in every single thing. So that's a very specific issue area that our team is working on alongside our policy department, because there's going to be a special legislative session aside this fall, aside from our normal legislative session that occurs during the beginning months of the year, from I think January to March. So aside from that legislative session, there will be a special legislative session this fall where there's talks about legislators bringing up critical race theory and banning that from our public education system, or how teachers are going to be allowed to teach their children in regards to specific things in history when they're teaching in their classrooms. So aside from critical race theory and investigating and researching and advocating against the ban, we're also working on redistricting topics. Right now, redistricting happens every 10 years, right after the census. So as you know, the census just happened, and now redistricting is happening. And redistricting is an issue topic that a lot of people are unaware of. People don't really know what it is, how it works, and how it really affects them. So maybe a little background on redistricting. Again, it happens every 10 years, and it's an opportunity for the committee that's in charge of redrawing the lines of districts. So the state of Georgia is separated into different districts. And sometimes, like the state of Georgia, the board in charge of the redistricting lines they have certain rules. But sometimes while abiding those rules, they sort of change the lines to best benefit their specific district when it comes time for re-election. So, and this is not a specific issue with a specific party. Both parties have redrawn lines to best benefit them in whatever way that will mean. But things like that shouldn't happen. That's called gerrymandering. And that's scary. It's sort of like, because this specific candidate thinks that I may not vote for him or her, they're going to kick me out of their district and throw me into another district. It's scary. Like, they're really like very visual lines drawn in neighborhoods. And it's crazy how maybe your next door neighbor could be from a very different district than you, and you live on the same street.
Yes, and there are a lot of subjects that we should cover to educate and us to get more stronger. So we have few minutes. I want to resume en español. Hoy estuvimos hablando de lo importante que es las votaciones. Las votaciones afectan a nosotros en diferentes maneras. Nos pueden afectar en los fondos escolares, los fondos médicos, los fondos en nuestra vida diaria, cada cosa que nosotros hacemos. Por eso es importante votar, especialmente gente joven, gente que pueda votar. Es importante porque nosotros tenemos el voto para decidir, aunque a veces nosotros pase otra cosa, si nosotros votamos por alguien y otra persona vota, de todos modos estamos ejerciendo el derecho que tenemos para alzar nuestra voz de alguna manera. Berenice, ¿puedes decirnos, tú sabes, en nuestro idioma, puedes decirnos dónde pueden ir a votar, cómo pueden hacer para registrarse?
Sí, lo más importante es averiguar si una persona es elegible para votar. Lo más temprano que una persona se puede registrar para votar es si tienen 17 años y 6 meses cumplidos. Si para cuando ellos cumplan 18 ya va a ser el tiempo de ir a votar. Tienen que ser ciudadanos de los Estados Unidos, no necesariamente tienes que nacer en los Estados Unidos, también pudiste ser ciudadano sobre el proceso migratorio. Entonces, si tú eres elegible para votar, deberías de registrarte para votar y hay muchos recursos en línea en cual te pueden guiar en cómo registrarte para votar. Nuestra organización Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta está muchas veces en la comunidad tratando y esforzándose para registrar a las personas que pueden para votar. Pero la página más importante es el georgiamvp.sos. Esa página de web es la página de web oficial donde las personas se registran para votar. También si a lo mejor te registraste hace 2, 3 años y no te acuerdas o algo ha cambiado, si es tu estatus de ser esposo o esposa, o te divorciaste o te cambiaste de dirección, es muy importante que vayas y cambies esa información en tu estatus de voto como votante registrante. Entonces, ahí es cuando también puedes, en esa misma página también puedes poner el condado o ciudad donde tú vives y te dicen exactamente dónde puedes ir a votar el día de las elecciones, que es el segundo día de noviembre. Pero también puedes votar temprano y eso ocurre las 2 semanas antes del mero día del día de elecciones. Entonces, las últimas 2 semanas de octubre. Otra vez las ubicaciones cambian, no solo porque fuiste a votar en esa biblioteca pública o esa escuela pública hace un año, va a ser el mismo lugar este año. Así que es muy importante que averigües exactamente cuáles ubicaciones están abiertas para esta sesión de elecciones que vienen en noviembre.
So, Berenice, when is the voting early? Do you know the date of early voting?
Sí, para votar temprano empieza creo que es el 12, sí, el 12 de octubre y termina el 29 de octubre. So early voting starts on October 12th and ends October 29th. Y el mero día que puedes ir a votar es el 2 de noviembre. Election Day is November 2nd. Si quieres evitar estar en las líneas largas, te recomiendo que vayas a votar temprano en ese periodo que acabo de decir, del 12 de octubre hasta el 29 de octubre. In order to prevent waiting in long lines on Election Day, I encourage everyone to go vote during the early voting period, which again is October 12th to October 29th. Esas son mis recomendaciones.
Y acerca de Absentee Ballot, ¿Cómo le puede hacer la gente? Yo sé que tienen que ir a la website de SOS y download la aplicación del ballot, ¿verdad?
Sí, entonces puedes pedir un absentee ballot, un volante para votar no en persona, 78 días antes de la elección. So puedes empezar a pedir ese volante empezando, que fue el 16 de agosto. So you can request your absentee ballot as early as 78 days before the election day. So you could have started requesting the absentee ballot starting August 16 of 2021. ¿Y cómo puedes pedir el volante? Puedes ir otra vez a la página de web de la Secretaría del Estado. Y es un portal en línea en cual te va a pedir información de tu ID o tu licencia. Y es cuando puedes bajar y imprimir el documento o el volante para poder votar sin estar ahí en persona. Again, you can request your absentee ballot online on an online portal on the Secretary of State's website. If you have a Georgia State ID or driver's license number, you will again download the application. And then once you completed it, you got to return it to your county board of elections office, either by mail, fax, email, or in person. Ya cuando termines de llenar esa aplicación, tienes que mandarlo a tu condado en la oficina de elecciones, y lo puedes mandar por correo postal, fax, correo electrónico, o lo puedes ir a dejar en persona. Es muy importante que entiendas cuáles son los requerimientos de identificación. Necesitas tu licencia o ID del estado de Georgia, o también puedes demostrar un documento formal como un bill con tu nombre y dirección, un cheque del gobierno o cualquier documento gubernamental en cual tiene tu nombre y dirección. Make sure that you have a Georgia State ID or driver's license. If you don't provide either or, you can also use a current utility bill, a bank statement, government check, any official document that shows your name and your address. También es muy importante que este volante de absentee, para que no votes en persona, llegue a tu condado, a la oficina de elecciones 11 días antes de la elección. Si no llega a tiempo, tu voto no va a ser contado. It's very important that your absentee ballot application is received at the County Board of Elections office 11 days before Election Day. That is October 22nd. If it's not received, your vote will not count. So it is very important that you call and check on if they received it or not. Es muy importante que ustedes hablen y pregunten si recibieron el volante que usted mandó por correo o por fax o correo electrónico, porque si no, no va a poder, su voto no va a poder contar. Y otra vez, para checar su estatus de registrante, la página es www.sos.ga.gov. Again, in order to check your voter registration status or to register to vote, it's www.sos.ga.gov.
Thank you, Berenice. Thank you so much for being here today with us. And thank you for all the information and let us know what is happening, during this process. Ustedes saben, es importante ponerse a votar. Hay mucha información, hay mucha ayuda afuera. Ustedes solo tienen que solicitarla. Es importantísimo, como Berenice mencionó, el absent ballot, la boleta de ausencia. Tomen su tiempo pero tengan en mente que es muy importante. So the name for this program was Make a Change. And it's telling you everything. You had to make a change in order to change things, in order to improve your life and the life for your children. So you have all the information you need, you have all the help you need, the resources, you just need to take it. You need to, get interested on what is happening outside and what you want and what you don't want. And just make and exert your right that is both and get informed. El programa de hoy se llamó Haz un cambio y vota. Es importante interesarse en las cosas que nosotros queremos o no queremos y votar, hacer el cambio por nosotros, por las generaciones que vienen. Es importante interesarse en las cosas que están pasando porque de alguna manera nos están afectando y tenemos que cambiar lo que nos afecta y lo que no nos gusta. Les agradezco mucho que hayan estado con nosotros hoy en WCEG.talradio.com. Berenice, muchas gracias por tu tiempo. Gracias por la información. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us this morning. WCEG is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You also can review all our videos on YouTube, WCEG Network. And I hope you have the best Saturday and got into the issues for the community. And welcome again. We're gonna be looking at you, every month, and connect with the channel on YouTube again on WCEG Network. Thank you.